10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Hello, Astronaut Hannah.
This is Astronaut Hannah reporting out from here in space, and whoa, I'm flying through space. Hang on.
Through this microgravity.
Call me Sandra Bullock, because I have no gravity.
We come to you from the edge of the solar system. The first ever podcast from space.
This is the first podcast from space. Can you believe it? Really, has science gone too far?
Computer, play the theme song.
Hey, look, there's Elon Musk.
No. Get out.
Well, that was certainly fun.
Yes. Welcome, everybody, to Thanks for the Music.
Thanks for the Music. The only podcast where two friends talk about music.
Talk about tunes.
Yeah, talking tunes.
We're talking tunes. My name is Decker.
I'm Hannah.
We're going to talk some music.
Shout out to all, like, the international folks. Like, we're big in Europe. Like, I've seen an uptake in our European listeners. In Europe. Yeah. So, hey, Europe. Thanks for listening.
Running really those analytics, getting that consumer data.
Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. I want to know, like, who out there is listening to us in Finland? That's crazy. Or wherever it was. I don't know where I told you, but I think it might have been Finland.
Greetings to all our listeners from the other side of the pond.
I just think that's
Thank you
really
for your
beautiful
support.
And lovely. Yeah.
It's like podcasts really do just bring the world together, you know?
Yeah. But
in these
the world
trying times.
Needs now.
Keep going. Commit to the bit.
Sweet pods.
We need a sweet pod. Sweet pod.
Sweet pod. I think this is going to be a really good episode already. I have a feeling.
Right out the gate, we got some good energy.
Yeah, in my bones. I shouldn't have sat in a different room. Maybe that's what it was. I'm in a different location in my house.
Switching it up.
And that might have caused the energy to shift a little bit.
And that's just one of the things that's just classic Hannah. You're crazy.
I'm random. So random.
You know, you're just all over the place.
So random. Hey, what you drinking? Let's do that seltzer check-in.
Let's do the seltzer check-in.
It's the seltzer check-in music. What are you drinking today? LaCroix Lamb, bubbly mango, or are you drinking something different?
So this actually was a very pleasant surprise. Where my mom got a case of this.
Oh, I think I know. That's the AHA brand, isn't it?
It's AHA Lime and Watermelon. It's great.
Lime and watermelon?
It's very refreshing. It's just really good. I don't know.
Oh, that sounds really good. Lime and watermelon sounds like a good combo. That sounds like a fun cocktail.
Yeah, it's great. It's very drinkable. It's very drinkable, but it's still very flavorful, but not too much. It's not too sweet. I think some of the AHAs are a little bit too sweet for me sometimes, but this is great.
I've had the honey and peach, and it was pretty good.
Ooh, that sounds
good.
A
bit too much honey. I'm not a big honey flavor person.
Okay, I like honey with tea.
Yeah.
Like when I worked at the Spoon, I would drink a lot of hot lavender tea with honey. It was great. I don't think I've ever had honey in sparkling water before. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it was wild. They got some wild flavors.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
I have this, and this was brought to my house. This is Guava Sao Paulo LaCroix. It is so good. Like, I genuinely took a drink and like said very loudly, "This is so good."
Hell yeah.
It's delicious. I don't know what it is. It has this like, there's something about the flavor in this that just, it drives me up the wall. It's so good.
Nice.
I just had like a guava kombucha lately or like recently. And like I was so into that. So maybe I've just been like missing out on guava.
Right on. I actually, last week, I visited a local middle school's anime club because that's one of the things that I do. I just like help school librarians, whatever. Yeah. And she passed out guava. She passed out guava flavored hard candies, and then she just like gave me the bag of all the leftovers, and it was great. Oh, I was like, I don't think I've ever had guava candy before, but I would absolutely do that.
I'm all about guava right now.
Yeah, guava,
baby. This is gonna be the year of guava, I think, for me.
No doubt. Cool. So I think you are going to go first.
Yeah.
Right? Talk about some tunes.
Yeah, I've given myself another difficult task. In that I've chosen to do something that has a lot of non-English pronunciations, and I had to
seem to like to do that
practice right beforehand so I didn't mess it up this time, and we have to do 5 takes, which we've never done. The listener
does not know that.
Yeah, and they never will. Ooh. Okay, so we are going to listen to Le Chemin de l'Amour by Poulenc, and this is as sung by Jessye Norman.
Dang. Yeah.
Isn't that so beautiful?
This is absolutely beautiful.
I do think she's the most, like, the perfect performer for this piece. Okay.
I was letting the video play so the applause, so she would get the applause because she deserved it. I didn't want to stop.
Absolutely deserved it. Yes, that was Jessye Norman performing that. Rest in peace, one of the greatest voices of all time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is Le Chemin de l'Amour by Poulenc. And the words to this piece are by John. The words to this piece are by John Anouilh. And it's based on a waltz from a play called Leocadia, which is also written by John Anouilh, that Poulenc did the music for. My first recital undergrad, I sang this song, albeit nowhere near as good as Jessye Norman. But I still think this song, I remember hearing this song for the first time and just being like, oh my God, I have to sing this. It's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. So this is really interesting because it was composed in 1940 in France, which is like around the time of Nazi occupation. Mm-hmm. And the whole, the poetry, the English translation of this poetry, where's the page that I have it up? So the English translation is the paths of love. It's the paths that lead to the sea have retained from our passing the flowers that shed their petals and the echo beneath their trees of our clear laughter. Alas, no trace of those happy days, those radiant joys now flown, can I find again in my heart. Paths of love, I search for you ceaselessly. Lost paths, you are no more, and your echoes are muted. Paths of despair, paths of memory, paths of our first day, divine paths of love. If one day I must forget, since life obliterates everything, I wish for my heart to remember one thing, more vivid than the other love, to remember the path where, trembling and quite distracted, I one day felt on me your passionate hands. Which I think it's really interesting when you think of this this is written for a play, yeah, but I think in the context of like what was about to happen in France, it makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this sort of longing for a moment in time that you can't go back to. Mm-hmm. I think that adds like another very interesting layer to the song. The play that it was written for, it was called Leocadia, and it's a really, really interesting play. It also kind of is this whole longing and memory sort of story. So it's there's a young prince, and he was madly in love with a Romanian opera singer named Leocadia Gardi. And so he knew her for 3 days, and then she died. So he lives in his memory of the young woman, is what Wikipedia said. So then he has this aunt, and she sort of like reconstructs this whole scenario of the 3 days that he knew this woman that he's obsessed with, who is dead. And so they're kind of just like pretending that he's back there. She has all these like butlers and servants sort of going along with the whole thing. And the Duchess, his aunt, has found this like young woman who is this poor woman, and she looks just like this dead singer. So she is like called on to like sort of seduce the prince and get him to kind of get out of his funk and back into real life. And eventually he sort of works through his fears. He has to leave this like beautiful memory he has behind and like move forward in life. Yeah, so it's really interesting. And it starred Yvonne Printemps, who is a very, very famous French singer. She was an operetta singer. But she was the first person for whom the song was written for, and she would sing it in the show. Because I've heard this play described as a play. I've heard it described as an operetta. I've heard it described as a couple different things. But yeah, I think with like this sort of idea in mind of like letting go of memory and moving forward, like permeates the whole thing. And it is just, it's so beautiful, but it really does have this incredible sad, wistful feeling to it, where like the only thing you can think about is past memories. It's not a love song for now. It is one for the past. You know what I mean? And I just think it's so
much
beautiful.
More
and I think,
bittersweet.
yeah, and I think Jessye Norman, the way that she sings it, is just. Her voice, for one, is like it's so large and commanding. Yeah. But she has like such incredible control over it that she has all this power, but the fact that she is so controlled, it really, really, it's like another layer to that. It's another layer of, I am so full of feelings, but I'm holding them back. And then, of course, she gets to the chorus, and it's like, oh, the paths of love, oh, blah, blah. Yeah. And just, and you know, I love a waltz. I'll go on the record. I love a waltz. And this is just another beautiful waltz, but with this just like hint of like a dark cloud. And I just think it's such a beautiful piece of music, and I've figured I should probably talk about classical music at some point on this podcast. But yeah, the poetry is beautiful, the singing is beautiful. Poulenc, there is much to be said on Poulenc that I can't just cover here in like a few minutes, because he is one of the great French composers ever. We kind of think of things in terms of like before Poulenc and after Poulenc, because of how influential he was. Yeah. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite Poulenc piece. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to listen to it.
Yeah, that was beautiful, and definitely the way that she delivers it, like you said, like you have to do a lot to execute it, but she's also like holding back a lot. And like towards the end, like when she, you know, kind of finally like goes up that octave, like kind of like in the last chorus, it's just, yeah, it's wild.
And when holding back is also kind of like not the best term that I should have used, because that makes it seem like she's like not giving it like her all and everything, because she fully is, but she is Jessye Norman has like one of the greatest, most powerful voices ever. But the fact that she can also do this like quiet, introspective moment really is like characteristic of an incredible singer. So this is just like another little moment to show like truly how great Jessye Norman was. She could scream it out like any great soprano, but to have such a mastery over the human voice as to be able to just so simple.
And I think it makes it feel probably more intimate as well, in terms of it. I don't know, like if you call it just like a monologue or a soliloquy or what, but just like that deep level of, I mean, would you say it's like it within the context of the narrative? Is it like an introspection?
Well, I mean, I'll ask you the same question since you're the poet. Like, what do you think? Just like a standalone sort of piece of poetry, like a piece of love poetry. It's just like what would that be? Because like I don't know where it is in the context of the play. I have not read the play, so I don't know like if it is even for the play, or if it. I mean, it is for the play, but if it's like in it, or is it like something that Yvonne sang?
Gotcha. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that is something I don't know. But like in the context of poetry, like what would you call it?
In context of poetry?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it probably falls into elegy a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
That's like your thing.
Yeah, there's probably a more accurate term for it, or what exactly it's doing there.
It's just a beautiful text to this music. Yeah. It's incredible. I love this. This is one of my favorite. This might be my favorite art song of all time. I love the French. The French art songs are where it's at. Yeah. Jessye Norman, Le Chemin de l'Amour.
Yeah.
Paths of Love.
Awesome.
Baby.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, classical music and opera is like, not really my thing. Yeah. But I can definitely appreciate like the emotional impactfulness as well as the, I guess, like repertoire or just like capacity to be able to sing something like that is absolutely incredible. Awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So it is my turn now?
Yeah, it's your turn.
It is my turn. Okay, so I don't know. I feel like your reaction or response to this could go either way, because I think there's some things that you will respect and like about this, but it also involves something that I know that you hate.
Improvs.
So I have chosen the song A Love Supreme Part 2 Resolution by John Coltrane.
Oh! Do I hate jazz?
You hate saxophones?
No, I'm actually like, okay, this is really funny because today we were listening to this Apple Music show hosted by Huey Lewis of Huey Lewis in the News.
Ugh, okay.
And he was doing the top 10 songs of the 80s that featured the saxophone. And I had a moment where I was going to be like, ugh, the saxophone. And then I kind of sat there and was like, you know what? Fuck. I love the saxophone. I love the saxophone.
How do you feel? Do you like Bruce Springsteen?
Yes, I like. Band? Yeah, we've talked about Bruce Springsteen a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course I love Bruce Springsteen. Get out of town.
Because all the saxophone in that is always just so well done and so great and just adds everything to it.
Shout out to Jazzman2696 who's posted this. Okay, I Love Supreme Part 2 Resolution. I think this is about to be our most intellectual episode yet.
Okay.
This one's for the scholars. Yeah, I really like that. I feel like I've listened to that lately because okay, I'm gonna reference SpongeBob for a second. Do you know that episode where they're like, what do adults like to do, and they're like, oh, listening to smooth jazz or whatever. I feel like that is true, because as I get older, I kind of get more like, I like jazz. Like, yeah, awesome. Listen to some jazz. Yeah. I really, really like that. I think that's really good. I was like, tapping along the whole time. And when I say I like jazz, I like the big jazz names and like stuff like this.
Sure.
Like I'm not gonna sit there and listen to like neo, like new age jazz kind of stuff.
I think that's this like anything like, I guess, like avant-garde jazz.
Yeah.
I feel like is that kind of where your like
where I'm like
dislike for jazz really comes from.
Yeah. And I think just like
that's fair.
Listening to bad jazz in college. Sorry to people I went to college with, but some of it was bad.
You've talked many times about your dislike for, quote, jazz fuckboys as well. So I think maybe your personal history is
so that's
fairly,
not like a DePaul phenomenon. That is like that's like
for sure.
all over. Oh, UNF. Oh, it is like jazz boy, like centralized like zone, and this is where they all are. It's horrible, but I like jazz, and I really liked this. I like the solos. I think were really good. I was really into the piano. That was probably my favorite out of all of them. I mean, I liked like the brass and everything too, but I was really digging the piano. I thought it was I really liked how it came in there. I always like a jazz piano though. But no, I really like this. Yeah. I was really into it. It flew by because I remember looking at it. I was like, oh, 7 minutes. Okay. But it went by. I really liked it.
Yeah, because my sort of entry into Coltrane is a little weird. So I took a few poetry writing workshops when I was in college, and for one of the classes we read the poetry book Apocalyptic Swing by Gabriele Calvacaresi, and there are 2 poems in that book named A Love Supreme. And like you can hear her read those 2 poems, and there's definitely like a sort of like musical quality. Like I think they were sort of written either inspired or somehow in conversation with like the rhythm and the music of A Love Supreme. So like for that class, I think as a class like we listened to some of A Love Supreme. And before then, I had like absolutely no interest in jazz and really no experience with jazz as well. And honestly, I didn't really get into Coltrane until probably a year or so after I graduated, where there's another Coltrane album I really like called Coltrane's Sound.
You used to put one on all the time.
I'm sure it was that one.
Okay, because I remember like you being like, here, we're gonna play this Coltrane album. Yeah,
where that one is a mix of original, like his own like Coltrane's own compositions, as well as some songs that others like wrote that he did. And so I think that for some reason I really got into that one, and then after spending a lot of time with that album, I came back to A Love Supreme, which like A Love Supreme, from what I gather, is like one of, if not the like most important and sort of influential jazz record, at least like 20th like post-war century like jazz effort. I know a little bit about Coltrane's like history. Like I knew that he was like in the Navy during World War II, and I don't know if it was when he was in the Navy or after he left, but he got addicted to heroin, and that was obviously really detrimental to his life and like also his like music career. And eventually he became clean and sober. And I don't know what the relationship is between his sobriety and his like sort of religious awakening or just like sort of religious experience.
Oh, I'm sure they're hand in hand a lot of the time.
Yeah, right.
Because that's like in the tenets.
Right. Yeah. And so A Love Supreme is his effort. It's like a sort of a thank you to God. And I think there's probably a lot of scholarship about this. I think the general consensus is that this is a fairly like non-denominational reading of God. Like it's not necessarily like strictly a Christian God or strictly like a Muslim God. I think it's a little bit more open than that, but it's like a thank you to God. Like actually, so there's like 4 movements in A Love Supreme, and the last movement, which is called Psalm, he wrote poetry along to it, which were like in the liner notes of the A Love Supreme record, and his saxophone in that last movement is him voicing those words through his saxophone. So like the rhythm and like the cadence and the beats of like the poem, like you literally like you read it like while you're listening to it, and like it goes along to it. So it's like him like voicing the poetry. And it's all like, thank you, God, I love you, God, like everything is God sort of thing. So it's very, very explicitly religious and praising. From what I remember, I should have done a little bit more research into this. But I remember a documentary, I think, that I watched on YouTube about Coltrane, like while I was falling asleep, like a year ago. And it was his wife at the time talking about his process for writing this album, where, I mean, you know, he was married and he had kids, and he was either like upstairs or like they had like a second like guest house. He secluded himself from his family. It seemed like almost entirely, because he was like really putting his entire like life and soul into making this piece of music that he was aiming for transcendence. Like he was like, this needs to be like on a complete other plane.
Yeah.
I think both spiritually, like for him, but also musically, the contributions that Coltrane makes like to jazz theory, from what I understand, is like he's just like a complete titan, like in the theory, like the circle of fifths and all of that. So he's like also making craft and musical sort of components, like making a big contribution to music through this. And I think he fucking nailed it. I think this entire record is absolutely beautiful. The main sort of like call, like at the very beginning of the song, which is also kind of like the main phrase, like the it's just incredible. It's just one of those things that makes the hair on the back of my neck raise. You mentioned like the piano. Yeah, like I'm absolutely obsessed with his piano players in all of his sessions. So it's actually the same pianist for this one and then Coltrane Sound, the other album that I really like. McCoy Tyner.
You're about to tell me.
And yeah, I'm just absolutely obsessed with Coltrane's music. Just made me obsessed with like jazz piano chords just in general. Like I think they sound great. I think they're recorded great. And there's just like something almost like not transparent, I guess mercurial is the best way. Like it's something that you can't grasp. It's like something, it's not obviously like a simple pop song chord progression.
Yeah. Which
I love that about it. And one of the things that I like about, I guess, jazz overall. Yeah, so I was going back and forth because I knew that I wanted to do a Coltrane song. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do. I was thinking about maybe doing one or two from the Coltrane Sound album. I settled on this one, I guess, just because I don't know, like it's in A Love Supreme, so I guess I could just talk about what is probably Coltrane's most important album. I love his like saxophone work in this. The piano is great. Yeah, and like Coltrane, I'm by no means a jazz aficionado. I guess like in the past like year or so, I've started to expand out really to just like jazz artists who have like collaborated or worked with Coltrane. Just like Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, just like the big names.
I love Duke Ellington.
Stuff like that. Yeah. It's just great.
I love Miles Davis too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure. I guess again in my older age have appreciated music that I guess you'd say like instrumental music, like where there isn't necessarily like words on it. Like one, like something that you can put on in the background. Like I listen to Coltrane a lot when I'm like reading or writing, which so it kind of serves a specific purpose, but I don't mean that to take away from the music like standing on its own. Yeah, you know, like having its own merit.
It seems like you like really deeply layered, like theory heavy stuff. I
guess. I mean, and not that I understand what's going on at all. Like my music theory is not good. Yeah. But just the way that Coltrane is able to execute it, you know, it's really incredible.
I like that this is like a whole album to God, really, and I also do not know, you know, John Coltrane's history or like the sobriety journey that he went through, but when you say it's like non-denominational, to me that's like, oh, this is my album to a higher power, and like because I connect everything to sobriety now because that's what I do, and to me that's my reading of that, of what you just told me, is like, oh, I've been saved by a higher power, and now I'm going to thank that higher power, which is essentially what you said, but I'm just using lingo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, let me actually, while we were listening to that song, I was doing a little bit more research because I'm a procrastinator. I love Supreme. So let me look up, here we go, full text of Coltrane's poem. I will do all I can to be worthy of thee, O Lord. It all has to do with it. Thank you, God. Peace. There is none other. God is. It is so beautiful. Thank you, God. God is all. Help us to resolve our fears and weaknesses. In you, all things are possible. Thank you, God. We know God made us so. Keep your eye on God. God is. He always was. He always will be. No what or what. It is God. He is gracious and merciful. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm also very into, a lot of the times these days, like these very like devotional, like religious ecstasy sort of pieces.
Religious ecstasy is definitely the best way to put it.
But and like not specifically so much about like the Christian God, but about just like before, like a higher power, like that sort of thing. This like fervor for some sort of being, and then you are just like what you said, like he was trying to like transcend with this music basically. And I think that is so cool. I think it's so interesting and it's so beautiful, and it just touches me in such a way. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading from the John Coltrane Wikipedia page. So it says, in the liner notes of A Love Supreme, Coltrane states that in 1957 he experienced, quote, by the grace of God, a spiritual awakening which was to lead me to a richer, fuller, more productive life. At that time, in gratitude, I humbly asked to be given the means and privilege to make others happy through music.
That like feels like, I want to say that's like what, yeah, that's maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see, but that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like he went through a program and now he's, you know, preaching.
And he's paying it forward.
Yeah.
Like to
the higher power that helped him, which is beautiful. I don't know. I just think it's so, I'm not making fun of it. I'm not being like, haha, let's like, you know, he's singing to God. I think that's like so beautiful and powerful, because there is something so beautiful and powerful to that. And I think it's so incredible to feel so grateful and like full of love for something that you're just like, I'm going to create this incredible work of art to say thank you for saving my life. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's also, it seems like he's emphasizing that he's like sharing that as well for others.
Yeah.
You know,
which again, that, and then that's the next part. You share. Yeah. Oh, I love this. Yeah. God, we're feeling a lot of things.
We are
this time around.
Like, I mean, I guess calling it a pop hit probably isn't appropriate, but it, you know, is a very popular, well-selling record that obviously has resonated with people both in and out of the jazz world. Yeah. But also like the sort of like jazz contributions he has made to that genre of music in that theory. Yeah, it's just great. I love, I mean, basically, like you said, I love that notion of just having this extremely important sort of revelation. Revelation. And in trying to express that, moment or feeling or whatever through music, and then wanting to share that with others. Is high goal, and he nailed it. It's
way to go, John Coltrane. You did it.
Way to go, John. Yes.
Congrats, John.
My guy, John Coltrane.
Yeah, I loved that. Good choice.
Yeah. Cool.
We brought the big guns.
We did.
Pew, pew.
All from our little spaceship in outer space.
Yeah.
Where we still are.
We are still in space. Yeah.
Are we going to do trivia?
I forgot to look at questions again.
I did too.
How about we do let's ask a fun question and answer it.
Okay.
Okay.
Like relevant to our music or just?
No, doesn't have to be. I asked this to my friends the other night and we had a really good discussion about it, and I want to know what your thoughts are, and then I'll share mine with you.
Okay.
What would be the worst animal to face in a fight? And you have to fight them. Like, they are coming for you. It's not like, oh, if I leave it alone, it won't bite me. No, you are in the fight. What is the worst animal?
What would be the worst animal?
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is there are animals where I would obviously lose the fight. So bear is one of those.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking of as far as worst to fight. Not only would I for sure lose, but what would also be the most painful.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm thinking a swarm of what's the human eating fish?
Piranhas?
Piranhas, yes. So I'm a piranhas.
Oh, I haven't heard that answer before. I like that.
Because if I'm in water, I'm obviously gonna lose, and they're just tiny mouths are gonna bite at me. No, thank you. That's my answer. What's yours?
I said a monkey or an ape because one, they're so scary for one. They will kill you. They're terrifying, but also they're just human enough that it's an added layer to it. And then
deep.
This was brought up to me the other day that you could fight you could hippos are on the ground or whatever, and they can't run up trees. A monkey or an ape can follow you literally anywhere.
Yeah.
They're so scary. So that's that question. Maybe next week if we remember to do trivia, we'll do trivia again. But we needed to leave you with something.
Let me see. So I just Googled fun questions.
Oh, were you asking me one too?
I assume so.
Oh, fun. Okay.
There's some wild questions. This is not the question that I'm going to ask, but one of the questions is when did you screw everything up, but no one ever found out it was you? No, actually, I won't ask that.
I don't know. That would take a while.
We don't need to do that. We don't need to do
share
over
our
the
secrets.
Air. Yeah. Maybe off pod.
Okay.
Okay, what is the best and worst purchases you've ever made?
The best and worst purchases I've ever made. The best purchase I've ever made. I guess just
recently. You don't have to go.
Recently. Recently I subscribed to a local produce box.
Mm-hmm.
So this place will bring me produce from local farms and stuff, and I get just I'm trying.
Nice. Are they based in Riverside?
Front Porch Pickings. Shout out to Front Porch Pickings.
Sponsors of the pod.
No, I don't know if they are, but it's so good. I tried a lot of stuff. I've been making some crazy stuff. I get another box this week. I'm so excited about. That's the best thing I've purchased lately. The worst thing I have purchased lately, I gave my roommate half of the funds to buy a filter for our water, our sink, and we can't get it on. So right now it's that. The filter
will go on?
Yeah, it's like a little filter you like screw into the sink.
Huh.
Can't figure it out. I think
that's a bummer.
Those are the best and worst purchases I've made lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
For me, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess over the course of a weekend, I got a telescope.
Oh, sick.
From Best Buy. And then also from Ross Dress for Less, I got a massage gun.
A massage gun?
A massage gun. Yeah, like I don't know if you see like professional athletes, so they've got a massage gun, which like mine isn't like, professional.
No, I'm gonna look that up as soon as we're done because I don't know what that is.
But it was kind of and you'll know this if you follow me on Twitter @CoolHotJock. But I think that weekend or like shortly after, I got my COVID booster shot.
Oh, I need to get that.
So I called out from work because I felt terrible. And what did I do? I used the massage gun to massage my aches. And with the extra time I had when I wasn't at work, I took my telescope outside, took some pictures of the moon. So that worked out great.
Oh, God.
As far as worst purchases, not worst purchases, but so Gigi really likes the it's like Royal Canin. It's like food for like old cats,
and
it's like bits. Yeah, she's an old lady, and it's like the bits. It's like chunks, and the most recent shipment of food I got, I realized it's like the solid loaf, which she does not like. She doesn't eat all of it. And it's like a really big can, and it's just like hard to store the leftovers, and so that was just kind of a bummer.
She's a particular woman.
Yeah, and it's like Evie, like my brother's cat for the listener, she doesn't like the loaf like pate cat food either. Like we always try to go for the chunks or like the slices or whatever. But that's okay. We're just making our way through this food first, and then we'll look at the good stuff again. Cool. Do we do anything else on the podcast after trivia?
Listen to the Spotify playlist that we have. About like that has all the songs. If you want to follow along at home. I think that's it. I have nothing to plug. I don't want people don't follow me on social media. I don't want anyone to. I'm actively trying to lose Instagram followers, so I won't tell you my handle.
I know some great ways for you to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything? You plugged your Twitter.
No, I don't have anything at all.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks everybody for going on this, what ended up being a very deep sort of philosophical ride. Yeah,
we went out to space, so there was...
We went out, we are in space.
Yeah. Whoa! I'm Sandra Bullock and I'm falling to the ground! Help! Gravity! George Clooney!
Should we make like a podcast Twitter or something?
If you want, I can run it. I mean, I really don't want to because I don't like Twitter and I don't want to be on it.
Maybe Instagram? I was just thinking like someplace like... I feel like it'd be fun if we could have someplace where our listeners can interact with us.
I can make an Instagram. Follow us at Thanks for the Music Pod. I don't know if that handle's available, but
we'll put it in the show notes. How about that?
Yeah, maybe it'll have a 4 in it, or that might be too complicated.
And so how do we do this? Comment on our most recent post.
What animal you would not want? The worst animal to fight.
The worst animal to fight?
Yeah.
And so we've been vampires, now we're in outer space. Any other crazy places you want us to go to on the pod, let us know.
Yeah, we're ready to travel.
We could go to a jungle,
yes.
We could go to a volcano. Basically any place with very easily identifiable sound bites that I can put in.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, follow us on our Instagram that I guess we're going to do. This is Sandra Bullock signing off.
This is George Clooney. I have not seen this movie, but
Me
this is
either.
George Clooney signing off.
Okay. And, I have one last thing to say. Thanks for the music.